Hey there. Thanks for joining me for this quick video. I'm Jeremy. I'm with Firm360. We have had a lot of people asking recently about the automation features within our system, within Firm360. So today we're going to go over an example of what an automation sequence might look like. All right. So that you can get the most out of the system, that really means that we're going to cover three things. All right. We're going to cover the client actions, or the to-do list that we're going to send along to the client. We're going to cover the project workflow, which is just going to tell the project where it's allowed to go next. And we're going to talk about the project template, which is where you're going to make the rules. You're going to establish the rules for the project, like what triggers the project to move from one status to the next, and who's responsible for that project at each status, and what are they even supposed to be doing at that stage. Okay, so if you're ready, we will go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so the first place that we're going to go is to our client section, and I have selected Thomas Gibson as our demo client today. We're going to take a look at his stuff. We're going to come here to the Tasks tab. The first thing you're going to see are the user tasks. That's what your team is responsible for on a day-to-day basis. You and I are going to take a look at the client actions, which is what I need my client to look at. So Thomas needs to submit his tax prep questionnaire, which we have created in a form and we've included for him. We need him to send over his tax documents, and we can define exactly which ones we need. And we need him to book an appointment. And so you can kind of get an idea. I can link my own calendar to this step. So when it's time for him to book an appointment, he can just come right here to my calendar. So let me show you what that looks like from his side. So if I'm your client, I've logged into my client portal here. Here are my client actions, my to-do list right here on my dashboard. So I'm going to open this up. Here they are. I need to fill out this tax prep questionnaire. And so you can get an idea of what that looks like. Here's just a sample tax prep questionnaire that we have put together. All right. All of that's going to be right here. Your clients can fill that out. Back to the dashboard. I also need to send over my tax documents, and I need to book an appointment. All right. Once I have selected all three of these as done, once all of these have been accomplished, that will move this project on to the next status. Okay, so the next place that we're going to go is to the project workflows, which is really just where you're going to tell the project where it's allowed to go. Okay, so we've built one out here as an example. These are the steps, the status that it's going to be in, the target status that it's going to go to, and the action that we have assigned it that will move it from one status to the next. This makes sense to a lot of people, but for some people, they need the visualization, which we have created here. So as you're building your automation, it will give you this visual display of what's actually happening. Each of these ovals is a status, all right? And the pathway is the action that's taking place from one status to the next. So the project will begin in the not started status, and then it will automatically move to waiting for client info. We've got some rules that we can apply there. The next step will only be pre-processing the documents. And once we have all of those documents, it'll move on to preparation, on to review, reviewer comments, back to review, processing and delivery, waiting on client approval, waiting for government approval, and completed. Okay, so once we have established that this is the pathway, then we're going to connect this to an actual template. So we're going to use a project template and put this on top and layer the whole thing and add some rules. All right, so the last stop then is going to be our project templates, where we are going to put all of this together, rules, statuses, everything in one place. We're going to scroll down and select the tax return version 2. Again, this is one that we've put together ahead of time. This is just the basic information that you need for this project. We've named it tax return V2. We're using the tax project workflow. The target due date is going to be 60 days. All of that will be right here at the top. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. The tasks, these are the checklist items that we're going through in order to complete this project. Step 1 is review the data. Step 2 is process the documents, clean up, so on and so forth, all the way down to e-file accepted and government approved. Here are the days that it takes to complete this. And we can assign this to either someone by their job title or individually by their name. So if I need my office admin to take care of receiving the documents and then they want to pass it on to the junior accountant, for example, all of that can be determined here. And here's the status that all of these actions are going to occur at. All right, I'm going to scroll a little bit farther down. The client actions, if you'll recall, this is what we set up in the first place. I need my client to fill out the tax questionnaire. I need them to upload their tax documents. They need to book an appointment. Those are all in their client portal. And then at the tail end of the project, I need them to review their tax return and confirm it, and so that we can submit it at the end. All right. So those are the steps that we need them to complete. Here are some examples of status transition rules. So when the project begins, it's going to recur on January the 1st. All right. So this project will kick off by itself on January the 1st, and it will begin in the not started status. And since we don't have their documents in the first place, there's not much that we can do. So the rule is after 30 days have passed, this is going to move to waiting for client info. And another rule that we'll set is it will automatically send along these 3 client actions to their client portal so that they can accomplish those things. All right. Another example might be while we're waiting for the client info, once all the documents have been completed, it will move this to pre-processing documents. All right. So this is where we'll set up our transition rules and our triggers to automate this project from one step to the next. And then finally down here, the project assignment rules. Who's responsible for all of this at each step? So pre-processing the documents is going to be my junior accountant. Preparation will be the manager. Review will be the partner in charge. This is where we'll set all of this up. Okay, so again, this can be hard to sort of visualize for a lot of people. So again, we've created a visualization button. At the not started status, it's unassigned. After 30 days, it's going to transition, all right, to waiting for client info. Then it's going to be unassigned. We need our clients to fill out a form, upload their documents, and book an appointment. Once that happens, it's going to move this to pre-processing the documents, so on and so forth, all the way down to the very end. I'm going to sort of scroll slowly so you get an idea. Once we get to waiting on government approval, it will assign it to the manager. We'll electronically file this return with the tax authority, and it will move this to complete.